So a common debate between most people who love comic books or just fiction in general is which city is the worst city to really live in. With the two most common answers being either the New York or the Marvel universe, as that universe has cosmic level threats coming in and out the city of all times, and then not to mention we got the Avengers level threats there too. Or some people like to saying it's the Gotham City of the DC universe, as there's just vile people and villains everywhere. But in my opinion, I believe both of those answers are wrong, as the real answer lies in the New York of the Spawn universe. Now, of course, the city has its typical gangs, corrupt officials, organized crimes, and, drug operations and things of that nature. But where the real evil comes from is the fact that the city isn't just a city, it's actually a spiritual war zone. As for some reason, that city specifically has a whole lot of portals to hell, so there's constantly a bunch of demons and just vile creatures that are just roaming the city in human form, ready to do the worst to people. Now, to provide a bit of context, Hal Simmons, our Spawn, is also, the Hell Spawn. And Hell Spawn are basically, how would you put it, the platoon leaders of different soldiers and armies that come from Hell. But the Hell Spawn doesn't necessarily have to correspond with Hell and their evils, and they can just be anti-heroes, as Al Simmons is. But just because the Hell Spawn doesn't want to correspond with the evil, it doesn't mean the evil still isn't going to try and do what it does. For example, there's one of the leaders of Hell known as Malboja, who's constantly in the show and basically tormenting Spawn in his own physical and mental ways, as he's constantly manipulating scenes and a whole lot of events that happens. For example, one of the first type of villains we come across is actually this one guy who's being influenced by Malboja to just kidnap kids and, do some rated R stuff I can't talk about on YouTube. Now, on top of this, remember how I said before that this is a battlefield between heaven and hell? Well, you may be wondering, why isn't heaven really trying to stop all this evil going on? Well, in all honesty, heaven doesn't really care about that. They're more so about just making sure all the demons go extinct. And in their world, they really don't care about human casualties. Because again, if all evil stems from, demons, hell, and essentially pure evil, why we have to stop the humans from going through what they're going through, we can just stop the main source of it. Now, one of mine, and I'm sure many other personal reasons as to why people love the show Spawn, is the fact that the evil in Spawn isn't necessarily the typical evil you see in, other comic book issues where there's villains and bad guys and all this other stuff. It's more so that evil is shown in a more unsettling way, as it's more normalized in their world, as violence is expected and suffering is the routine, and manipulation isn't hidden, it's just what constantly happens. And most people you think are good are actually more on the morally gray side, as they've probably done some bad things in their past and are just trying to make up for it. Remember earlier when I mentioned there's other demons who are actively trying to cause mayhem? Well, there's other ones that are trying to cause stuff behind the scenes, similar to Malboja. And a lot of them are influencing some of the normal average people who you think aren't really capable of causing evil to do the most despicable things ever. Whether it's to be a serial killer or just snake your mans on a normal takedown of the plug or something. It gets rough out there. And I'm sorry I didn't mention this beforehand, but at the end of the show, or should I say end of season 3, there's basically this whole thing going on where it's leading up to a prophecy where essentially there's going to be one big huge battle going on between heaven and hell at the end. And if you're in the city while this happens, it's basically over for you. Because as I mentioned earlier, there's no such thing as heaven trying to be merciful on his people. Literally, if you just happen to be within the vicinity, you're gonna get turned to dust. There's no such thing as evacuation or anything. Worst part about it is no one in the city is really that spiritually in depth for real, as everyone seems to be just too clouded by everything going on right at the moment. So no one really is prepared for what's about to happen. So yeah, I'm sorry to all the comic book fans of DC and Marvel, but I have to be honest, the worst city to live in is the New York and Spawn's universe, man. Like, again, a literal spiritual war zone, demons lurking around everywhere, and on top of this we got the normal human sins of corruption, gangs, trafficking, and all the other worst stuff. Yeah bro, you had to get me out of here. Anyways, I know this is a shorter video, but I was kind of a bit stumped on what to do, as usually I don't post this soon, but hey, I'm trying to get a bit more consistent with it. Anyways, I hope you guys stay safe, stay prayed up, and remember, God can do anything for y'all as he's done for me. So appreciate you guys for watching, and hopefully subscribe or like the video. Either one's is cool.